If you've ever wondered what it's like to live in an RV,
let us show you.
it's not really like this. Here it comes! For the past 2 weeks, this has been our home. And a lot of us have seen photos on Instagram, Pinterest, wherever, of the van life, the RV life. And I want to share with you the details, the realities, because it's great, it's amazing, I recommend it to everybody, but it's not perfect, and I think you should know more about it. Alright, so first of all, I want to show you the front of the RV, where most of the magic happens, and where we spend most of our days, especially on travel days. Basically, you've got enough room to seat, I don't know, 8 people in here. There are seat belts hidden inside of the couch. As long as you're clipped in, you're able to sit here and do it really comfortably. And the awesome thing is, if you're not the driver, you can take the driving time to be back here, have your own table to potentially do a bit of work if you're not gonna get car sick. If you're traveling with 4 people and you're really pushing the limits of what I think this thing's capable of, then you could convert this into a bed. We actually haven't done it, but this whole table pops down and then you're able to use these cushions to create a lay flat. It might be more of a bed for kids. And if you come all the way to the front, I want to show you this right here. Not the TV. We've never used the TV. This is Maxwell's room. And Max's room is actually really spacious. So there's a piece right here that gets connected here. So that entire area here is his entire room. And he just found out today there's actually a little hidden storage cabinet. How excited are you about that?
Very.
You can put
They're
all
jealous.
this candy there.
Mine's better. It's got a better view. It's got like height.
It's high.
Yeah.
Out the
Like
window.
you're the king of the RV.
Yeah,
pretty nice.
Pride Rock of the RV.
Yeah.
It's super easy to take on and off. Max has a little ladder, but he's never used it. Parkour. Parkour! This is the driver's area. This is where I sit. This is where I usually get visitors from one of these two. This here is like a control module for the beats, and we did bring a speaker here for when we park, and that will kind of bring me to the next thing, talking about electricity, because as somebody that's never taken an RV, I actually was very confused how this would work, and I was a little surprised because I thought I would be able to use standard plugs while driving, but that's not been the case. In order to get the plugs to run, do you hear that noise, that low rumbling? That's the generator running. Just like you'd see in your house, there's plugs hidden throughout the RV, and in order to get power to them, you're going to need to run a generator.
The generator can make power anywhere in the world.
Ooh.
So you can charge your laptops on the road.
Yep.
You can charge anything.
Well, you can't do it while you're on the road.
You can't do it while you're driving.
Yeah.
But
As
the
we
car
found.
makes power.
We found that out the wrong way.
Yeah. Oops.
We turned on the generator and Kathy was making pesto chicken wraps while we were on the highway. And then I think we blew the generator, but we restarted the fuse, so we're good. It's 4 liters per hour to run the generator. With the currently record low fuel prices, that's only $5 an hour, but it's not something you'd want to run overnight. So we just use it when it's time to, you know, charge laptops, charge speakers, charge batteries. But I also just bought this thing right here. So it's going to be a very slow trickle charge. It's a DC charger. It allows us to get, you know, proper plugs just with the cigarette lighter. Right over here, you'll actually see tucked down below there's USB chargers. So you can charge your phone even when the car is running or even when everything is turned off. It doesn't use a ton of power, so there's always power coming out of there. So that's kind of handy. So on this trip, I've been the driver. Kathy is the cook.
The chef. I prefer to be
chef.
called the chef.
The chef. Max?
It's the Blackwater specialist.
Yeah.
Oh.
Max is the most formidable Blackwater specialist there ever was. Now, if you're not sure what Blackwater is, we'll get to that shortly.
I think you don't want to know what it is.
You probably might want to skip that part. This is the kitchen.
So this is my space, my favorite place in the RV. I'm surprised that we have so many things to use. We have microwave, we have oven that we have really been using. It's been so helpful.
Yeah.
A fridge and a freezer
Yeah.
with lots of food.
They're like really good size too. I would have expected you would be like picking and choosing ingredients, but we've been able to get almost,
Yeah.
if not everything we needed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then you have so much
You have
dry
like
storage.
a huge pantry. It's full of food as well.
Yeah. For this, you need to run electricity. The generator needs to be running. But these two can actually run just by propane, which is underneath the RV here. And so is the fridge. So the fridge is always running, even if the generator's not on.
Overall, it's an amazing place to cook. Yeah, you can do everything. We brought like a couple gear to work out and we haven't worked out even once.
We haven't worked that once. It's been almost like a fast food tour.
Yeah. We have been stopping in all the Walmarts, in all the fast food, like drive-thrus.
No regrets. Now, when you're done, let me show you this. little hidden trash chute. Boom. There's a hole right there. This is the bathroom. You can see it's a little tight. The real tight part of the bathroom is in here, which is currently where we're hanging our wet jackets from yesterday's rain. We went to take some photos outside and it was just pouring rain. In fact, there was one of the most crazy storms in Calgary just yesterday. Hail the size of a tennis ball dropping down and putting holes in car windows, destroying homes. It's pretty wild. We literally just missed it by, I don't know, a few kilometers. We've been going through water a lot faster than I could have imagined. With us going through typical usage, the three of us, we're probably going through a full water tank in a matter of 3 days. And of course, that water has to go somewhere. And when the water goes down the sink, the bathroom sink, or the shower, it's known as gray water, meaning it's dirty water, not to be reused, and it must be disposed. But what goes down there, the toilet, that's black water. The black water hasn't been filling up on us very fast, but the gray water fills up in 2 to 3 days. So it's been a bit challenging. We've actually been going up to random RV campsites and just asking them if we can do a dumping, is actually the term. And dumping has never been harder since COVID because they've actually made it so that you need to be a guest of the RV campsite. And prior to like this week, they weren't allowing overnight guests. You had to be a seasonal guest. But enough on that. The COVID related issues probably won't be there when you decide to go out on your RV. This is the master bedroom. It was between Max and I to see who would get it. We flipped a coin. I won. Sorry, Max. We got the privacy of this slider, and we have the privacy of this sliding door. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been finding the RV just a little too tight. But wait, there's a solution. Let me show you this. This is the coolest thing about the entire RV. Right here, this magic button.
It's like Transformers in the real life.
Speaking of Transformers, Storyblocks allows you and me to transform our videos. Now look, if you've been watching my YouTube videos for a while now, you already know that I use Storyblocks. But what you might not know is that I also use it on Instagram from time to time. And this is one of the projects where I actually challenged myself to use at least 10 shots from Storyblocks. Now, here's the crazy thing. I posted it on Instagram and challenged people to guess which shots those were. Most people could not figure it out. If you want access to over 1 million high-quality cinematic and storytelling visuals, then check out Storyblocks. With a super affordable subscription, you can get unlimited downloads from their massive database of copyright-free footage. So if you want to maintain full monetization and ownership of your project, and you want to take your visuals to the next level, check out that link down below and get started with Storyblocks today. Wow.
It's so spacious.
It becomes huge. So that whole bathroom area that you saw earlier is now massive. You've got so much room that you can move around in. The whole bedroom has gone from being just a tiny little bed space to being spacious. You have all these cabinets. It's literally a mobile home. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You could live in here full time. We've been traveling Canada now for 2 weeks, and this has been our best view to wake up to so far. Absolutely insane. The Rocky Mountains, a must-visit destination here in Canada and in the world. I mean, if you're from anywhere, you have to do a Canada road trip. For me, this has been one of all of our top travels so far. We've all said this is like one of the coolest ways to get around and one of the best destinations to do it. This right here is the heating and the air conditioning. Once again, you need the generator on, but you can either run cold air or hot air and get your desired temperature here inside of the mobile home. Got a nice fan here, but one thing to note, we learned this the hard way. We were in Algonquin Park and we left this open overnight, and there was mosquitoes for days in that park. And when we woke up, we had maybe 50 mosquitoes inside the RV. And the only thing we can figure is they came through one of these fans. So if you're gonna leave your fan open, make sure you at least turn on the death blade. That way, only the toughest mosquitoes can make it through. Now, I wanna quickly show you something. This is what we're driving across Canada in, but this is what we were so close to crossing Canada in. And To be honest, I'm really happy we're not. This is a Volkswagen Westfalia, and this is kind of like the typical hippie van. It's very simple. You have a pull-out bed, you've got small countertops, and what makes this car so iconic is that the top actually pops up a little bit, and it gives you kind of like this angled roof. So it's very iconic, but by no means does it have the convenience that this car has. Odds are pretty good it would have broken down at least 3 times. Odds are pretty good we wouldn't be able to hit the highway speeds because most of those cars just couldn't handle it, and it would have just been way more fatiguing to be on the road. But here we are now, 3 of us I should mention, in this car. It's been 2 weeks and a bit, and I feel fine. I feel tired because we're going hard every day, but I could stay in here for another 2 weeks or another month. So challenge number 1 of living in an RV has been for me work. It's been far from perfect. Join the van life, they said. You'll be able to work, you'll be able to travel. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can basically only do travel. Working on the road is so freaking inefficient, it's so hard. Right now, we are in a parking lot, we've been here all day. We've tried Best Buy, we've tried Walmart, we've tried basically Wi-Fi at every single store. And the best one is this iTech Systems computers. By the way, thank you, even though it still sucks. It's really tough to work from the road. And in Canada especially, we don't have particularly good free public Wi-Fis. If you're somebody that relies on the internet, especially for large files like photos and videos, it can be pretty darn tough. And I have to say I'm a bit disappointed because I always dreamed of this being something sustainable, but from a worker's perspective, it's not.
If you're a person that gets dizzy pretty easily, this is not for you, because I've been trying to work on the road when Christian is driving. I'm sitting here always with my seatbelt on, and I just get so dizzy because everything is shaking so much. It's a nightmare.
A lot of first-time drivers will be nervous to pick up their RV because they've simply never handled a big vehicle, and that was me. Because before this, I've driven a bunch of motorbikes and scooters, but never in my life have I dealt with a big rig. This is a 32-foot RV, and the good thing is, it's not been that bad. The only thing that I really would caution you is to take wide turns because the back wheel will sometimes catch an edge on the curb if you take too tight of a turn. The only hard part, guys, is really backing up. Whenever I had to back up, I would just ask Max here if he could run to the back and scout me. I would look through the rear view mirror and basically see him either telling me to come back further, go further left, go further right, and that's been my backup cam. In fact, your RV might even have a backup camera, but this one does not. So that's been the only difficult part, and I say difficult in quotation marks because it's been really manageable. There's very few downsides to this whole lifestyle, but there is one thing that also stood out. It's that if you're not in a proper campsite, then things like the black water, the gray water tank, and your fresh water are going to be filling up or running out within a couple to maybe 3 days tops if you're using it, you know, a little bit. So if you imagine yourself just parking out in the middle of nowhere for a week at a time, it's not really possible because you need to find somewhere to empty out your tank. You're gonna need somewhere to get the fresh water. Now keep in mind there are 3 of us here, so for 2 people it would be more conservative, and she does have long hair, she likes longer showers, but there is a solution to long-term living in an RV, and that is campgrounds.
An RV campground is a place where you can take your RV and park overnight and just have a more comfortable experience. There are dumping stations, you can plug your RV into electricity, you can take off your chairs and make your own like dining outdoors station.
And even community, like we saw some really beautiful RV camps along the way. There's such a lifestyle to it, and it seemed really beautiful. Now, I'll show you around the outside of the RV. When you stay in a campground or you have a house that you could plug into, this is what you're gonna use so that you don't need to run the generator and use a ton of gasoline, which is obviously expensive. So you take this, plug it into this, it's got like this weird 3-prong, twist it on, and now you have this. So if you're just plugging into a house, you would just put this adapter on, and as you can see here, it's your standard plug. This will give you 15 volts. It's not enough to power like the aircon or the heating in the RV, but it'll charge all your appliances. It will allow you to use the microwave. But if you go to an actual RV campsite, then they're gonna have something like this. It's a more rugged industrial plug. This gives you 30 volts, and then you can power the entire RV. And it would be exactly as if the generator was running, but using electricity, which is going to be included in your stay at an RV campsite, which from my research, we haven't done one yet, should be around $40 to $60 a night. That's Canadian, by the way, so 30 to 50 US. Under here is where you keep the propane, so for running the stove, as well as the fridge. The fridge also runs propane. Hands down, my favorite part of this trip has been the ability to be right away from my living room, my bathroom, my bedroom, and just be able to connect with nature. My favorite thing in travel is going to incredible landscapes, seeing wildlife, and we've been able to experience all of that with the convenience of our home. So that's been the real game changer of traveling with an RV. RV travel is particularly interesting right now because you don't have to rely on hotels. You can really reduce the amount of points of contact you have with other businesses. You're basically self-sustaining to some extent. It gives you a lot more independence. One extra thing that I've actually really loved too is the fact that when we're done with our days, like most people leave at sunset because they have to get home and they've got like 2 hours to get home or whatever. We're like taking our time, we're watching sunset, we stay till the end, and then when we get back to our car, we're the last ones in the parking lot at the park or whatever, and then when we decide to drive or decide to stay, that's when all the wildlife comes out. So we've seen a ton of incredible animals because they're used to everyone leaving the parks and, you know, having it to themselves, but we're just there, we're hanging out. We've seen foxes, we've seen tons of deer, we've seen moose. It's been really cool to be able to have that. So we actually rented our RV from a company by the name of Canadream, and I think they're the biggest RV company in the country, and the great thing about that is that you actually have multiple different offices where you can drop off your RV, which allows you to drive the country one way and not have to drive back to return it. It is time to go to our next destination, and the truth is, we don't know where that is. That's the best thing about this. Just go wherever we want. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it encouraged you to get an RV, rent one, experience one. It's been such an awesome, refreshing way to travel, and I couldn't recommend it more. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. If you want to see more content, more from my face, hit that subscribe button, and check out the RV Cross Canada road trip playlist, which will be linked down below. Let's get lost again in the next one.